Greetings everybody, and welcome back to part 4 of the behind the scenes of Fallout New Vegas. Not Fallout New Vegas. Fallout who? New Vegas. Good start. Just showing off all the different assets and model work that I had done for the mod. So getting right into it here, we left off with the first of the opening Dalek shells or armors or casings or vehicles, whatever you want to call them. Not only was the first one a pain in the butt, but I went ahead and had to do it all over again with the second version, the upgraded, whatever you wanted to call these ones. I can't remember what they were called in the show. They weren't the Supreme Daleks, but they were the whatever they were. The bigger ones. And here we have the first one of the upgraded. I've got them labeled as Supreme Dalek, but I think that was just for the quest line. So this one was, although it opened differently, it was the same process. I had to go into the original model and chop it all up and gut the inside of it so I could then fit the interior decor, I guess, in there, as well as separate all the different latches and movable parts, which then went through animation. These ones were a series of different, slightly damaged versions. As you can see, some of them have thumps on the bonds and poor little bent things. Could be crude there, but I won't be. Anyway, they all follow the same basic animation. Oh, that's right. Some of them had the mutants inside. That's why there was several different versions of them. But it was all the same animations, and I do believe it was just at the end of doing the first one, I just took I think it was a push-pull modifier in Blender and just proceeded to whack it about with the mouse until it looked like it was, a little bit more war-torn, damaged. Wasn't much in the texturing I did, but mostly just on the model. Here we have this thing. Examination table. That's the word I was looking for. Basically just a add-on to the console that I had already done and slapped a Dalekanium bomb on top of it for good measure, just to fill in the detail space. Lots of texture animations going on in this one. We've got glow effects down on the lower what do you call them, spheres there, as well as the little hand pods there, and then you got the one behind the head, just scrolling animations. These were the incubation tanks. So Mr. Nixon there, he had different versions. They were, I think, empty, and then a small little mutant floating inside, and then a bigger one, which you'll see later. Anyway, these ones were giant explorations in different texture animation, as you can see on the control panels there. This is where I finally figured out how to use a transparent, like a glass shell over top of a texture animation, because prior to this they would always disappear. The texture animation itself would always disappear underneath the transparent glass. So while it looks like it's shaped, the spheres, there's actually a transparent shield over top of them, like just a glass, essentially, over top of them. There you can see a different version of Mr. Nixon there, floating in the tank. And Mr. Sparky was hanging around in the background there. Never did get around to completing him, unfortunately. And there's an empty one. Here we have the beginning of the Supreme Dalek's control chamber. So I think it was just a big empty round room that they had put in. So that's where I started. As you can see, I just put him in for kind of reference and making sure that, oh, and he opened, there you go. Making sure that there was sufficient room to move around him as he would have been standing there in the quest line. I don't remember if this got fully implemented or not. Demege had written up a really interesting quest line for this, and I don't think it came to full fruition, unfortunately. So what do we have here? Good question. Okay, there's a decent look at the non-yellowified loading screen. I don't recall if that had popped into earlier videos or not. Here is an update to the room I was working on with a nice little display panel. Now that animation I was super happy with. So what I had to do was make a high poly sphere, and I texture mapped it to a flat image of the Earth. So the north and south pole on the image, or on the final texture, were stretched out because of the way it was drawn. And so I mapped the sphere to that texture, cut the sphere in half, and then flattened it. So it was just a circle, a flat circle. And then when the texture animated, it gave it this amazing 3D looking effect as the textures were getting shrunk on the top and the bottom, so it looked like a sphere was turning, or the Earth was turning. What do we have here? Oh, adding more texture animations to that one. Plus the other display screen, I think that one was displaying Mars, if I remember correctly. I think it was supposed to be Scaro on the display, but I ended up using a texture map of Mars. Then again, it could have been Mars. I don't remember if it was supposed to display Mars, I mean. And then you'll see a nice little texture animation of sort of like a sweeping scan of the globe. It's an interesting little blip in the texture map there. I think I must have fixed that later. I probably noticed it filming this video, to be honest. And then a little bit of texture animation to the lighting panels on the walls. Here we have the opening sequence. Now I'm just going to skip ahead because right after this I've got the sort of how I did video of it. If you want to see this in full, I'll just put a little thing on the screen up at the top and leave a link in the description for this one.
Alrighty folks, I'll take you on a quick tour just to show you how the titles quote unquote work.
That's right.
To give you a better idea as to how it got mangled together, essentially.
I gotta stop swearing.
Yes.
Then again, this was only for the guys in the foundry, so I wasn't too worried about my choice of words.
Okay. As Al Chestbreach would say, go to the rave club. There we go. Okay. So yeah, don't look behind you, and it's all good. There is literally, I'm standing on it, barely, just a collision mesh on the floor, just a simple square that's not much bigger than I am in game. And there's another one sort of right here in front of you, so you can click on it and activate it. I don't know how to lock the player view in the GEC. Never looked into it, never really bothered. I just kind of, when I recorded it or tested, I just kind of put my mouse right there and leave it. Anyway, you can see the I just imported the newest police box. I think that's the standard one, static one, to use it in the animation. So that's all built into the animation. The logo mesh is just hiding behind here. I found if I tried to hide it anywhere else, the lighting effect wouldn't work on it, or at least there's a light in the GEC right here to light up the scene, that it would just black it out if it was hiding it anywhere else. And basically above you here, except on an angle, is the same star field that was used for the Sirius bridge, minus the galaxies and a little bit of tweaking to the animation, just sped up a bit for the passing stars, and they just kind of, the star field and the Nevada landscape picture just kind of scroll down out of the way, and the moving stars just slowly rotate down, and anything else you can't see it at the moment anyway. But as I said, if you can lock it first person straight ahead, essentially everything should be positioned to be straight ahead. If you have the cursor off a little bit, then it looks a little funky, but as long as you have it straight ahead, it should be good. And you can see some side effects of tweaking the animation in NIF scope. Oh, wait, so that disappears. There's the TARDIS. Finish it off is just a black face plane that just alphas in. I think I hid it behind too. There's a whole bunch of, you have to kind of hide things behind you with all the different alphas that are going on, otherwise they really start to collide if you keep them all in front, and stuff disappears and it looks really ugly. And there's the end of the animation. So yeah, as I said before, just don't look behind you and you'll never know the difference. At least that's the hope.
So you watch this, of course.
It won't. The sound will, but the animation won't. Anyway, don't look behind you, don't move off the square, because you will fall into the void. Whee!
So that was how I did it, essentially, in the game. I'm just going to replay parts of it here as I actually discuss more in depth of how I did it. So the entire title sequence was all one NIF. It was all one file, one model. It was all animated together. So I imported into Blender, I imported the TARDIS model. I had made the logo based on some of the title logos that Demegi had made and posted up on the Facebook page. So he had made this version with, I think it was like a blue and white version, and then a multi like red, yellow, blue, very classic appropriate version of this title logo. So I just took it and 3Dified it, I guess, and I changed the coloring on it to suit this intro a little bit more. This was probably my biggest challenge in terms of animations. This included texture animations you see in the vortex, and having them not disappear while everything was going on. It included, obviously, moving objects, so the TARDIS, the logo, the vortex, the nameplates, and it also included glow animations, so the lamp on top of the TARDIS would flash as it went by. As I previously mentioned, the Starfield was just the one from the Sirius Bridge, just a slight tweak. Now the music is from TARDIS Blue, and let me just say that it is one of my favorite Doctor Who pieces, or I should say Doctor Who inspired pieces. But even still, in terms of title and opening sequence music, it's way up there for me. It's just a beautiful piece. I think he did a really great job of incorporating some of the feel of the anniversary, and then also adding in the sort of ambience of Fallout New Vegas. It's just a piece of art. Just beautiful. Now, not to toot my own horn here, but I have seen several different fan-made opening sequences for Fallout 2 on YouTube, and they're all great. I mean, lots of time and energy put into them. They look amazing. They look fantastic. Really, really well done. But mine was the only one that I've seen that's in-game. Which is the obvious bonus to this, because we didn't have to, and I don't even remember if you could, find a way to add a movie sequence into the game. So an actual video file that would play on the screen. I'm sure you could do it, since they do that for the opening sequence of the game anyway, of the actual Fallout New Vegas game. But this one, all you had to do was teleport the character into the cell, lock the mouse control, and you're good. So I think this is not only one of my favorite projects to have worked on, but I think it was a bit of a win since it was all in-game. So that's going to do it for part 4. I'm quite surprised that this is actually turning into a 5 or 6 part miniseries here, but hey, why not? So I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below if you've played the game, played Fallout Who. Let me know what you enjoyed about it, and I'll catch you in the next one really soon. See ya.